Well, hey guys, welcome back to Chipped or Dipped. This is Jared Bryan, and I'm gonna get you guys a quick little message today. My wife and I are getting to go over to the orphanage, and we are very excited about it. Sandra, who runs the orphanage, is a vegetarian and or vegan, and I'm not sure which one, but anyway, she made us some vegetarian food to put into her baked beans because we had 2 cans left because we had prepared before this COVID-19, this coronavirus thing that was coming about. So we basically have 2 cans left, and last time we made it with our sausage that we love, that we have found in Mexico, and we had bacon on the top. So she got these strips that we're basically going to use for that. So I'm excited to go over there. Can't wait to head on over there. But I wanted to share you guys a quick message. Now, this situation right here is a little crazy. I just happened to come across it, a little bit ago. I'm not saying it's fact. I don't really believe in too many coincidences or coinkydinks. And I came across this book. It says The Eyes of Darkness, and this is Dean Koontz. And I think if you relate him, he's kind of similar to like a Stephen King type of author. I'm not really familiar with his work too much. I don't read that kind of stuff. Anyway, as far as like it goes, it's like horror fiction, like stuff like that. You'd have to figure out, maybe like kind of like that kind of classification, like maybe thriller type stuff. And I am interested in those type of movies, and I have read or listened to on tape Michael Crichton before with Jurassic Park, and that was pretty interesting. When I was younger, I was on a road trip and I listened to Jurassic Park, and it talked about the DNA that the mosquitoes got, and that they preserved the DNA from the dinosaurs. And that brings me to another subject about if the fallen angels, if there's Nephilim, if there was giants in the old times, in the Bible, this DNA could be trapped somewhere, and all these holy sites and a lot of these wars could be fought over finding the DNA of certain types of people like that. But anyway, that's another subject for another day. But I came across this. The book was pretty, I just saw a few pages of it that were highlighted. One was circled. I'll show you some pictures at the end. I'm not saying this man predicted this virus. I do believe that when you dabble in the occult and horror and stuff like that, I believe that demonic spirits can be working through you. And I do believe that, how do they tell a form of, when you go to like a tarot reader, or if you go to someone that practices divination, how do they know future events, different things like that? Well, one thing that the Luciferians do in their agenda is they try and set up and do programming, the television, tell-lie-vision, or tell-a-vision, tell lies or tell-a-vision, however you want to look at it. What are the programs? They have programs on the TV to program you. The remote control, you're controlled by your remote. Anyway, just some interesting words. They have situations right now going on with this contact tracing stuff. They are actually everyone who lost their jobs. They're trying to promote, hey, this might be a good avenue for you to go down. This might be a good area that you start working in contact tracing. They're setting up new things, and what the Luciferians do, the ones that follow Satan's agenda, and they're working for their father, the devil, what they're trying to do is have predictive programming. Like if you look back at some of these Simpsons episodes and some of these cartoons, You'll see 9/11. If you look at Matrix, you'll see 9/11 on one of the things. You can kind of look back at some of these events and see, like even in Terminator, it said caution 9/11. There's different things that was put there in the back of their mind, and then if they have this setup and they know that they're going to plan out this event, then you're like, oh well, they knew that this was coming. They can tell the future, the past, all that kind of stuff. And really you're giving them a little bit more power than they have. But I do believe that they have certain powers, because even, if you go back, when they turn their staffs into snakes, I mean, magic is real. We're dealing with magicians. I mean, just in the Capitol alone, DC changed their name from Washington Bullets, their basketball team, to Washington Wizards. And what is the female basketball team? Washington Mystics. So you're dealing with a lot of occult stuff in DC alone, but Hollywood has tons of occult stuff as well. So you have to realize that a magician uses sleight of hand. You looking over here, he's doing something over here. And they're doing a lot of that with the media. They're doing that with fear. Why people have been in their homes. I'm sure they've been trying to work hard to set up their agenda, biometric scanning, different things with 5G, getting things set up on the market is one of their goals, their end games. So anyway, I'm not going to get too deep today, if that wasn't too deep already. I know I talk a lot about this kind of stuff, but like I said, we're going to the orphanage today, and we're going to go have a blessed day and be with these kids. And my little girl has been so excited about getting over there. And hey, if you ever want to sow into them, they have an awesome ministry. They have the most well-behaved, best kids I've ever seen in my life. And Sandra has one of the best testimonies. I didn't share too much of it. I just shared a brief snippet a few messages ago on her. And I also just shared a snippet of one person, because I don't want to get in, there's a lot of people who they film everything they do. A lot of probably people who come in, maybe they'll see the kids one time and then maybe never see them again. And I'm not saying that's true. I'm just speculating. There's people that I've heard that before about other ministries. I mean, there's a lot of street preachers that might go out and preach, but why do you always have to have a camera on? You don't always have to have a camera. Yeah, you can film some stuff. It's good. Especially the reason I filmed a few things is because I wanted to bring awareness and not let you know what we're doing, because you're not supposed to let your right hand know what your left's doing, and vice versa. But it's for the people out there that might want to sow into the ministry here, because they have an awesome orphanage, awesome ministry. It's not just an orphanage. It's for troubled teens or troubled families that might need help or assistance. My wife and I love the fact that we have gotten put in their back pocket and right here. And while we were in this quarantine, pandemic kind of situation, we wanted to make the best of what we were doing, because we were stuck. And look, God put us at a place that we are close to, and she wasn't going to let us in, but because we were here early, which the Holy Spirit told us to come early, before April, because April 15th was when we were supposed to start our classes to do mission work. So to become mission leaders. So that all got stopped because of this COVID-19. So we ended up getting to connect with them. So it's been a blessing both ways, and my little girl can't wait to get over there, and I can't wait to get over there and play some more games with the kids. And we just have a good time every time we go over there. But they try and teach me some Spanish, and I try and get these words right, but I don't know all these words. It's fun though. I get to learn. These little 5-year-old girls will teach me different things, and they just laugh at me when I try and pronounce or enunciate things. It's pretty funny. Let's go ahead and pray and wash our hands and bless this situation before I start preaching. I'm not going to really preach. I'm just going to share a little bit today. But anyway, we're going to pray anyway. Father God, thank you so much for this seed taking root in the hearts of the people, and help it to just not get choked out by the enemy. We know that the enemy comes to sow tares right after the wheat is sown, and the enemy tries to stop whatever good word, what good seed is going in the ground. So we just want to say for the people to cast their cares on you, Father, and don't let this seed get choked out in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Help it to take root in their lives today, and help them to open their minds to look deeper into situations and know what hour that we're in. Know that the fig tree is getting ripe, as that horn that just honked right when I said the hour we're in. I take that as a situation. Hey, we do know that the hour that we're in is you're coming soon, Jesus, and we thank you so much, and we just want to be prepared, and we want to prepare the minds and the hearts of the people. So thank you, Father God, in Jesus' name, amen. All right, so let's go ahead and get in this message. So what I was going to talk about was this book, The Eyes of Darkness, by Dean Koontz. So I'm going to read a little bit, okay, of this situation. It says, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness was spread throughout the globe and attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact it'll suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived. Did it vanish? I don't know. Everyone's trying to hire contact tracers. I know this is fiction, but it did come really fast, and it seemed like it went. But now we're still going through all these protocols to provide safety, control. People are being controlled, but it's gone. It vanished. You don't see it too much everywhere. Where do you see it? Most places. Now, I know of people who have it. I know of people who've gotten it. And I believe that there's a lot of people who got it and don't even realize that they had it, and their immune systems have defeated it. But that wouldn't comply with their agenda to vaccinate everyone and put whatever DNA they want inside you. Or, I talked about quantum dot tattoos recently. They're trying to there's an agenda to, one, contact trace you, vaccinate people around you. What if they use that to round up Christians? Or what if they use that to round up the LGBT? What if they wanted to wipe out a certain type of community? Now, I'm not endorsing that community. I believe that they have sin and they need to repent and come out of that sin. But just someone practicing a homosexual lifestyle and all that, what if they wanted to round those people up and take them all out, and they utilize contact tracing to do it? That wouldn't be right. What if they wanted to round up all Muslim people? You see what I'm saying? All Christian people. So I'm trying to get you in the perspective of knowing, hey, that they can do this with any group and say, oh, you've been connected to COVID-19 or coronavirus or whatever they are calling it these days. They try and add different things to cause confusion. So it's pretty interesting, the fact that this all just vanished out of, I don't see it around that much. But I know in certain places, it is worse. So did they release multiple strands? Is it worse in certain areas because of the vaccines that you've gotten prior? If this was a genetically altered bioweapon that was released from a lab in Wuhan, which there is a lab in Wuhan, and it attacks the same things that, have you ever noticed that when you have the flu every season, they say, oh, this flu virus attacks this person differently? Hey, little girl, give me 1 second, guys. All right, so before my little daughter came out, I was just talking about how quickly it vanished before, and it's kind of like vanished in certain areas now. But the people, if you've never noticed, there's different flu-like symptoms every year, and they try and attack it differently. And they say, oh, well, this is a different flu strand, and maybe your flu shot didn't work the same way. So there's some people who get the flu right after they go get their shots. And that is because they're actually injecting some of the flu. They're injecting some of the flu inside you. And that's their whole methodology. As far as like what they're injecting, what else they're injecting, I don't know. I don't know everything that they're injecting in you. I don't trust them because there's certain places like Walgreens and stuff. They'll actually, you'll see a lot of signs for free flu shots and different things like that in America. I don't know what it's like in other countries or other areas, but I was telling some people from Mexico that, and they're like, whoa. And like, then I told them there's even places that give you gift cards for getting a flu shot. So getting all these different shots, and back in the day, the kids that were getting shots, now they're trying to get shots in the kids as early on as possible, and they're trying to get different things, different medical sorcery inside your kids as early as they can. So if they have all these different concoctions and all these different things inside of you, what if one of those things was a reacting agent to this new bioweapon that got, released? And the ones that have never really been vaccinated that much, like myself, have different immune systems and antibodies that can fight off these things a lot easier than someone that has had certain shots as a child, or certain things. My daughter has never really been to the hospital, never been sick, and she hasn't had any shots. She hasn't had vaccines or anything like that. And there is so much. I think they just passed a bill that recently that I think that they can't be held liable for their vaccines anymore. The big corporations. So I'm not sure on that. I do believe that is either in the works or it's already done. So I know that they don't want to have that responsibility because there's a lot of people who get vaccine injured. And anyway, that's not my whole talk. I just wanted to kind of share this with you. I opened up my eyes when I saw this, thing. It says out of Wuhan. They call this thing Wuhan 400, and it came out of the Wuhan lab. I'll read a little bit more from one of these pages. And this is the book, The Eyes of Darkness by Dean Koontz. And he was a #1 times best-selling author. But this was Li Chin is the guy in it, and he defected to the United States carrying a diskette record of China's most important, dangerous new biological weapon in a decade. They call this stuff Wuhan 400 because it was developed at their rDNA labs outside of the city of Wuhan. And it was the 400th viable strain of a man-made microorganisms created at the research center. Wuhan 400 is the perfect weapon. This is just excerpts from the 2 pages that I have. I didn't read the book, but isn't that crazy that Wuhan, Dr. Fauci is connected to Wuhan? Dr. Fauci predicted that, hey, this next administration will see something crazy. I'll post a video with this. He predicted like they will see like a pandemic-like virus in the near future, or this next administration. So it's just a lot of weird stuff. He mentions diskette, so you know how old this book is. I mean, I think this was written in 1981. And I know it's fiction, but when you deal with different demonic spirits and all that, and you're dealing in the occult, they can give you a foreshadow of the future. But anyway, that was just all interesting. Dr. Li Chin defected to the United States. What is it? The ophthalmologist that discovered, and he was an ophthalmologist. He's the one who, I think it was, his name was Chen or Dr. Lee. So there's just I'll put a picture of him up here also. But it was just a lot of weird similarities. But anyway, and then you look at the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or CARES Act. If you look at it, it was produced in the House 1/24/2019. That was before this virus came about. It's called H.R. 748, the CARES Act. Look it up. And look up when this was on Wikipedia that they put a picture of it was produced in the House. And I read an article saying, hey, this was not all completely true. It was public law on 3/27/2020. But they said that in that article, it said it was a Reuters article, I believe. It said they basically took a House-passed bill, struck it down, and then replaced the House-passed bill content with new legislative provisions. So I know that's a lot of wording right there, but so they took a bill that was already kind of in play and they struck it down and restructured it, and then put the legislative provisions on there with the new ones. But originally, I think it was passed. Joe Courtney of Connecticut. He's the one who originally brought it to the House, I believe. And it says Middle Class Health Benefits Tax Repeal Act of 2019. So they took the Middle Class Health Benefits Tax Repeal Act of 2019 and changed it to the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And then it was made public law on 3/27/2020. And this is once again HR 748 if y'all want to look that up. It's just a lot of interesting stuff. You know, I talk about predictive programming with cartoons and different things like that, and you know, there's a lot of interesting things, but you know, there's nothing new under the sun. And what is a good message without reading a little bit of the Bible? So I'm going to read real quick in Ecclesiastes. This is the words of a preacher, the son of David, in Jerusalem. This is chapter 1. And then chapter 2 says, Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also riseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to its circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. All things are full of labor, man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, the ear nor the ear filled with hearing. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, See, this is new? ? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come, with those that shall come after. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This sore travail hath God given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. So there's no new thing under the sun. What was once done shall be done again. As in the days of Noah, so shall be the days of the coming of the Son of Man, of the Son of God. So when Jesus is returning, it's going to be like the days of Noah. What were they doing in the days of Noah? Were they splicing DNA strands? Were they cloning animals? We've been cloning animals for a while. What are they doing with the DNA? Were they doing genetic manipulation, GMO, genetically modified organisms? What were they doing as in the days of Noah? Were they mixing different seeds with different that shouldn't have been mixed? What were they doing? So anyway, if nothing new is under the sun, if everything it once was, it is now. You have to study the past to know your enemy. What do they try and do? If you just look at Satan and his agenda, what is the ultimate goal? He wants to have the same type of power. He wants authority over you. He wants dominion. He wants you to obey. He wants you to bow down. He wants you to accept the mark of the beast. He wants you to be in control by mammon and not following after the Lord. He wants you worried about your money. He wants you worried about what you're going to eat and what you're going to drink, what you're going to wear. But Jesus, he talks all about that. He said, don't worry. The lilies don't even worry what they are going to have. And they have better raiment than Solomon, who's preaching in Ecclesiastes. So you have to realize that, the birds neither sow nor reap, but they have food. So anyway, I hope this helps y'all. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about contact tracers, but I'm not going to really get too much into it. I'll just show you some of the things that the next things they have, the agenda they have for y'all. They're setting up things so they can contact trace to be able to, contact tracing is a very broad term. Who is actually who's paying all these salaries? There's some pretty good salaries, better than I've ever made when I was working. I think the best I made is probably around what a contact tracer would get when I was working in the world with my hands and doing physical labor. But it was probably better than what I would have been making. It's just interesting to see. They're really paying people pretty good money. If I got it in certain areas, I think some places said $20 an hour. Some places, I think near New York, was like $57,000 a year or $55,000, something like that. So it's pretty decent money for someone who doesn't have any experience in whatever field they're creating. I don't know. It says you don't have to have any medical field experience, anything like that. You're looking to contract trace people. You have to be very, it said, I think they said manipulative or persuasive. I think it said persuasive. You have to be very persuasive when you're talking to people and all that. So, contract tracers, they're hiring all over the place. They probably are coming to a town near you. So just be on the lookout for the things I'm talking about and realize that the hour is near when Jesus is returning. Don't get chipped. Go get dipped. You guys have a blessed day.
Given, as you heard from the introduction, that I have been around for a while and have had the opportunity and the privilege and the pleasure of serving in 5 administrations, I thought I would bring that perspective to the topic today, is the issue of pandemic preparedness. And if there's one message that I want to leave with you today based on my experience, and you'll see that in a moment, is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak. And I hope by the end of my relatively short presentation, you'll understand why history, the history of the last 32 years that I've been the director of NIAID, will tell the next administration that there's no doubt in anyone's mind that they will be faced with the challenges that their predecessors were faced with.
States and municipalities across the country are hiring contact tracers, people who work to track the spread of COVID-19. Our Megan Cerullo has been working on this story for MoneyWatch. Megan, thanks for joining us. Explain how contact tracing works and how it's been previously used.
Sure. Contact tracing is commonly used to track the spread of sexually transmitted infections and tuberculosis. Contact tracers are given the names of individuals who have tested positive for COVID-19. They make contact with them, and right off the bat, so they're cold calling these strangers. Right off the bat, they're asking them personal questions such as where have they been and who have they been in contact with. The contact tracer then locates those individuals and warns them that they might have been exposed, and they advise them to self-isolate. So that's the process.
So who's doing this work? Are they employees of the State Department of Health, or how does it work?
It's a patchwork effort. There's no federal initiative, so it's happening on a state-by-state basis. These efforts are usually run out of local health departments, and almost every state is ramping up hiring. In New York State, for example, the governor's announced plans to hire up to 17,000 contact tracers. In California, the goal is 10,000. In Washington State, it's 1,500. And while the requirements vary, you don't need a background in medicine. An interest in public health is certainly required. And you need to be resourceful. You need to have the ability to track people down. You have to have good interpersonal skills because you're going to be reaching out to strangers, and you're going to have to be persuasive. You're going to have to persuade them to self-isolate and also provide them with resources they might need while they're in quarantine.
Megan, how long is the job expected to last?
It's expected to last about a year with the possibility for it to be extended. And this can also lead to a career because there are sort of more senior roles as supervisors that require a little bit more experience. So for all those folks who are unemployed right now, who've lost their jobs possibly because of coronavirus, this could be a good place to look for work.
Does it pay well?
It varies. In New York, the salary range is $57,000 to $65,000. In Georgia, I saw a job posting advertising a $15 an hour as the pay. In Massachusetts, it's around $27 an hour. So it really depends.
And I understand that Apple and Google are developing technology to help with contact tracing efforts. So how does that fit into this picture?
They are. Those apps use Bluetooth data to alert users that they've come into close proximity with someone who's infected with COVID-19. There is a role for these kinds of apps. There are privacy concerns too. They're vulnerable to abuse and can be a source of misinformation. But the real issue with apps is they can't replace the work that human contact tracers do. Contact tracers they're making contact with individuals who are sick, who might be scared or distressed. They need to have empathy. They also have to be persuasive, and there's no app that can do that.
Dr. Anthony Fauci said that this was sort of one of the key components that would ensure that we could contain the spread of this virus, having the ability to track and trace people who may have been in contact with it. I'm wondering, how successful has this been in other countries? I'm thinking of South Korea right now. I'm sure that you know better than me.
That's right. It's not an experiment. It's a tried and true effort, and it's been really successful in Asian countries, in China, South Korea, and Tom Fried, who's the former director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has said that the United States needs to hire up to 300,000 contact tracers, and that is the equivalent to the scale of the effort that was rolled out in Wuhan, China. So this really is an effective way to break that chain of transmission, and has been successful in other countries that have started to reopen their economies.
All right, Megan, thank you so much.
To soon follow suit. So if you're looking for a job, here's what you need to know.
My name is Shauna.
They are the two biggest words in employment right now: contact tracers. This is a person who works on the front lines, sourcing who has or may have been exposed to the coronavirus.
I would just encourage people to get involved. It is a great way to get involved and to kind of help us flatten the curve.
Tom Connolly is the CEO of Gaddy HR, which recently set up an organization in Massachusetts with 2,000 contact tracers. So what do contact tracers do? They work directly with a case investigator who has identified a COVID-19 positive patient.
The case investigator gives that data to a contact tracer, who then gets on the phone and is responsible for contacting everyone who's in that contact vector.
That means anyone the initial patient may have come into contact with, they then give them the resources they might need to quarantine. Since these are sensitive discussions, Connolly says you must have a certain skill set.
The big things are empathy, resilience, perseverance. You're talking to people who are stressed a little bit, who just need someone to be able to guide them through the process.
People Connolly says are a good fit include anyone in healthcare, but also college students, restaurant workers, bartenders, and those working in customer service.
We find that there are people in other professions, good listening professions, that can do this very well.
Now, Connolly believes contact tracers will be around for some time. In fact, a few job postings we found have a minimum requirement of at least a year. And as far as the salary, Connolly says many can be making $20 to $30 an hour, and training takes just 5 days.